Hi, Bobby. We're back with Behind the Headlines. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
So good to be here. This was so fun last time. So it's now a series.
I
Woohoo.
know we're making it a thing. I love it. In true Behind the Headlines fashion, we've noticed that this idea of April theory is trending. So, those who may not be as familiar, it's the idea that the new year, new you mindset maybe it doesn't start in January. It actually starts now at the start of spring. So, wanted to use that as a jumping off point for how we can take the April theory and tie in best practices for setting up your financial health and abundance for the months and year ahead.
April is such a better time in my mind to start. January is so high pressure, right? And everything feels like it has to be so grand and so big. So for April theory, we want to make things more realistic, a little smaller, a little more manageable. We're still going to be intentional. We're still going to be thoughtful, but this is really about setting ourselves up for the rest of the year in a mindset of financial wellness. And for me, I think that starts with a strong financial foundation. And that, of course, means having savings, having a backstop. So if something bad happens, and nothing bad's going to happen, so we're just going to have a pile of money at the end of the year, right? But if something bad happens, we have something like an emergency fund. So we start with savings. Okay. The most important thing to get started is to create a system because honestly, I have so much on my mind. I get so distracted between work and family and all the things that the idea of putting X dollars like each week, it's just not going to happen. So I'm a big believer in automation. I'm a big believer in getting it done, not getting it perfect. So for me, I'm a big fan of things like high yield savings accounts, money market accounts, and most of all, automation. So pick a number. I don't want to say any number. You could do $5 a week, but honestly, I think we're better than that. I think we can do more. Pick a bigger number than $5 a week and get that set up with your bank. Have it coming directly, hopefully out of your paycheck into your high yield savings account, money market account. Get the best return you can within reason. Don't go absolutely crazy. Again, done is better than perfection. You actually did some math on this, right?
Yes. So I learned recently that if you save $27.39 a day, and within a year, you'll have $10,000 in savings. And then if you obviously, like you said, put it in a high yield savings account, it's free money and interest on top of that.
Exactly. So you're getting something back. And then here's the thing. Once you get to a benchmark that you're happy with, I personally think $10,000 is a really nice benchmark. You can start thinking about taking small steps to do even more ambitious investments. And what's great these days, which was not true so many years ago, I don't want to age myself, but let's just say when I was coming up and a very younger adult, it wasn't so much available. Now you can buy fractional shares of stocks at mainstream places, places like Fidelity, places like Robinhood. Not endorsing them per se, but great names to get started. Other competitors, of course, also equally good. You get the idea. But if you have your eye on a stock, maybe it's a big stock like Berkshire Hathaway, maybe it's a trendy stock that you've heard about, like Nvidia, whatever you've got your eye on. And I am also, again, not endorsing those stocks. I have no idea what's going on there, but those are big number stocks that can be tough to kind of necessarily have that much money to invest. Maybe, you want to do 100 shares. That's probably not happening with Berkshire Hathaway right away. You can buy fractional shares, and that's a great way to get started. I will say though, I am a really big fan of index funds because that gives you instant diversification and that can also be a really good thing. So maybe look out for a low cost index fund when you're ready to start taking those small, easy steps into investing in stocks.
I love it. So we've covered getting your emergency fund set up, automation, savings, dabbling into fractional opportunities or investments. I think that's a lot of great things for people to take and move forward as part of April theory and springing forward. But for financial abundance, what are some don'ts or pitfalls that you think people should, keep an eye out for and try to avoid?
So we all want to be really smart investors. And a lot of people tend to buzz in our ear and tell us now's the time for this, now's the time for that. The truth is, for most people, you can do something called dollar cost averaging, which means putting the same amount of money in at regular intervals. That way you're sort of spreading out the risk. If you're watching the market and you do want to time it, well, first of all, so don't. But if you do anyway, If you do anyway, one thing you can look for is buying opportunities. You want to buy on the dips. So that means basically if the trend is that the market is going lower, and you can tell I'm saying this with some hesitation because it's kind of a nuanced thing. If the market is lower, as it has been under pressure since the start of the Iran war, which is happening as we are recording this in mid-April of 2026. So if the market is on a downturn and you have money on the sidelines, it can be a time to maybe think about investing if you believe the market is going to move higher sometime in your timeline before you're going to need the money. I would say a very long timeline because we just don't know with the market what it's going to do. Historically, the returns are very strong if you invest in equities. We don't know what the timeline will be. But if the market is lower, don't necessarily stay away. I guess that's really what I'm trying to say. If the market is going lower, that doesn't mean red flag, don't invest. That means maybe this is a time to cautiously dip your toe in the water and start investing because you are getting companies that might be down, not because of their own actual fundamentals of the company, but they might be trading lower because of macro environment risks that are seen affecting all industries. And therefore, it's a good time to invest in that particular company because, in theory, it might be undervalued or at least lower valued than at a time when the entire market is lifted because people are optimistic in terms of the macro investing environment. So hopefully that made sense, right? We're not looking for perfection. We're just looking to get started. So participation is the goal, not perfection.
Love that. It's perfect. And it's, spring. It's the time of sowing the seeds for the
Yes.
future abundance. So you just
Sowing the seeds for future abundance. So perfectly said.
thank you. Well, okay, before we wrap, this is a new series obviously we're doing. So if there's a financial topic you want us to cover or a question you want Bobbi to answer, let us know in the comments. And thank you so much, Bobbi. This is so fun.
So good.